Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Truth Unspoken. As we continue to expose and inform uh, the uninformed and those that do not know, we're in a war and a battle for our children, um, actually, also for the soul of our country. Um, it's disheartening, and then there's a lot of shock, there's a lot of dismay, there's a lot of unbelief, but there has to come a point of reality and facing reality. There are those that when reality presents itself, you can either face it or run or hide, but it doesn't change the fact that it's going to continue to come. And so, facing the truth that we have a system of laws that have been put in place to steal our children, steal them in their minds, steal them in their souls, steal them in their spirits, and confuse them and deceive them and take away our rights as parents. And this is it's a real war, it's a real reality. And there are those that never believed that this day would happen, but then there are those that have been saying this day was coming. And so, understanding these things and understanding, there is things that we can do. There are people that feel helpless or feel powerless, but, we continue to talk about unification and uniting, which brings power and which brings change. In any course of history, whenever there was wrongdoing or oppression, there was most of the time revolutions and revolting against the oppressors, and it's always a small amount of number of the people that oppress because they have money and they have power. But money and power can't overwhelm numbers if the numbers realize what is happening. And I believe that people are waking up. I believe that people are becoming aware, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to spread the word. We're here to spread the word of truth and expose the lies, expose the deception, expose the manipulation for money, mammon, and it's a everyday fight. And so the more that we get to join, the more that we that hear the word and act on it, um, the more effect can take place, right? So we continue to say, remedies. There's a lot of people that may be talking about the problem and exposing the problem, but there's not many solutions being presented. We're presenting a solution. Now the solution isn't getting a lot of support. It's funny. It's sad to me how you can go on YouTube and you can go on TikTok and you can go on Instagram and you can watch the most ignorant things and the most irrelevant things, and they have the most views. But we're struggling to get get people to engage. We haven't had one donation. Actually, we did. We had some headphones that was given to us, and we're grateful for that. But as far as there's companies, there's CEOs that donate to all kind of different things. But it's kind of troubling that we're not getting any type of traction as far as is people wanting to build schools. And I don't know. I'm just praying about it and hoping that somebody at some point in time will see this as something that's really relevant and worth supporting. We do get a lot of verbal support. We do get a lot of people saying, go get them. But far as is people stepping up and saying, here, I'll give 100,000 towards school or towards land, or I'll give $50 towards building something to protect children. That's the thing. But I don't lose heart. I will continue to do this, until more and more people get involved. More and more parents think that it's worth it of stepping up and getting involved and saving your own children, saving your grandchildren. But we're here to continue to give information, continue to expose. You know, we had a few videos last week, and the last lady we actually reached out to her, and she's willing to come on and have an interview with us. So that's very exciting. But she sued the school district of Jurupa Valley, which is in California here where we're at, and she won. So that's very encouraging to see. There are victories taking place, and legislative law can now be created and referenced in other cases based on her winning that case. So that's huge, and she made it real clear that the scriptures and her lifestyle with the Lord and having a Christian lifestyle is what motivated her to be bold. And the trial came. It was either you bow down and submit to wickedness and abuse. This is child abuse. So do not be mistaken and do not be fooled. This is child abuse. When adults take advantage of children for paychecks, that's child abuse. When they're manipulating them and telling them don't tell your parents, that's child abuse. And it's actually illegal, but they've made it legal here in California to where children can make decisions. Children can make decisions without their parent, and the laws protect the children against their parents. So if that's not the most wicked, backwards, blatant, we're taking your children from you statements and laws, I don't know what is. So I think that people are starting to see and starting to wake up slowly. But remember, in September, I believe it's September 30th through October 4th, or September 29th through October 4th. Yes, September 30th through October 4th. Remember two things. Number one, between $50 and $75 are given to the school districts per child every single day. Now, if we keep our children home, like we said, 1,000 children in the whole state, whatever school districts that's involved, those school districts will lose money for those children. And so that'll be between, $250,000 to $350,000, depending on what school districts we're talking about for 1 week, right? So if we can get 10,000, it jumps up to 5 million, right? And so if we can get 100,000, then we get up to 50 million. 50 million, 5 million, those are attention getters. Even 250,000 is an attention getter. And what is the point? The point is to get the attention to say, if you do not stop pushing these oppressive dictatorship laws, remember in a dictatorship and communism, the state, the government steps in and takes what's yours. That's what true communism is. When the government is able to step in and take what belongs to the people, where they're trying to take our children, and they are doing it, and they're setting laws. So that's a communist situation. If you don't understand, that is not a democracy. That is not a freedom of having a freedom of speech, having a freedom to pursue the pursuit of happiness, the light of happiness. That's all taken away when they say, we're coming for your children to get them to go into surgeries and get them to get on medications to confuse them and cause them to have hardship and disrupt their lives and even end their lives. Yeah. Actually, I have another stat that was sent to me. Hold one moment, please. Please hold. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is from the National Library of Medicine, right? It says individuals who underwent gender-affirming surgery had a 12 12-fold higher suicide attempt risk than those who did not. And that is according to the National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology information on April 2nd, so last month. And so, we continue to give updated information and updated, accurate, stats, and to let people know what is really going on. So that exposes once more about this whole lie of this transgender agenda, identity affirming agenda, when just 15 years ago, it was a common sense situation.
Yeah.
25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, there was no such thing as now there may have been people doing it, but it wasn't a mass number. It wasn't put in our schools, put in our companies, put in our movies. No, it was just a certain group of people that chose to live their life that way. Right. But 15 years ago, when you were born as a boy, you knew you was a boy. If you were born as a girl, you knew you was a girl. And as the farther back in time you go, the more common sense, that was never even an issue. Yeah. Now all of a sudden today, it's an issue. Now all of a sudden today, where did all this come from? It came from people, evil people, that said, a way we can make money, real money, is we can take this small number of people that have this confusion and we can project it on the children. And if we project it on the children and confuse the children, then we'll have a generation, and then we can continue to have generations, and we can continue to make more money. We can continue to have more confused children, and then we can continue to cut on them and mutilate them and destroy their lives and get them on medication so our checks can continue to come. This is a business investment. This is an investment idea. See, people don't look at it like that, but that's what this was. There was a group of people that found that this is a very lucrative investment. Yep. In targeting children and deceiving children and making them confused, and then also in the plan, exterminate the parents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is not just a fly-by-night thing. These are investors that found another investment, just like private prisons.
Yeah.
Private prisons is the most lucrative investment you can invest in.
Oh, yeah.
Now, people don't know these things, but once again, truth. So what is the point? The point is this is a long thought out, carefully executed, and then they presented it to the professionals, the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the surgeons, and said, hey, what do you guys think about this investment idea? Are you going to join and be on board? You're already making money doing that with adults that, come to you and express all their feelings and express everything that they're going. They leave the same, but they're charging them, between $150 and $500 an hour just to come and spew out all your feelings and then give you some medication. And at the end of the day, what changes? Yeah. You feel good for a moment because you got it off your chest, but the actual issues that you're going through never left.
Nope. Right.
And so that's what people always say, you need help. Let me refer you to so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so. What they're already in cahoots and they're already partners on sharing checks.
Yep, kickbacks.
Insurance companies are well. Hey, you guys want to get on board with this plan that we have? You're a major factor. We need you involved because you're the ones that give out the prescriptions. You're the ones that are okay the surgeries on these minor children. We need you. You're a major player in the insurance company that's all about money, that charges you every month. And guess what? If something actually happens, you have to fight to get what you pay for every month. Where does this stuff come from? Right. Like who creates it? Oh, evildoers. Yeah, mammon chasers. People that love and worship money. Yeah, they sit and plot and plan these things.
Yep.
And we think that they're really in our best interest. Well, guess what? The scam has always been there. It's just grown bigger and bigger and bigger. They just found more and more evil ways to make it grow. Right. So it just went from, house to personal, just like, most people don't know. When you go into the hospital, the hospital takes out an insurance policy on you. So they're charging your insurance if you have insurance. Now you won't even get seen if you don't have insurance. But if you're illegal and you come to our country, you can get all the medical insurance, medical attention you need. But here, if you don't have insurance, you can't get help. But if you do have insurance, so here's how it goes: the hospital, they charge your insurance, just like they're charging the insurance to chop up our children. But they charge your insurance, and then they take out an insurance policy on you. So they're charging your insurance every day that you're in the hospital, and if you happen to die, they get a bigger payout. So if you live and you get released, they got paid. If you die, they get paid more. Now, this is knowledge that people do not know, but this is America. So that was going on long before the identity situation, long before the identity agenda, confusion agenda. Now we were already killing children, and they think, oh, it's the mother's rights. No, see, that's a smokescreen. That's a deceptive from the investors, from the creators of the idea. No, the real reason for abortions is to sell the baby parts. Collagen. Hey, all the anti-aging people, the people that get these creams. You don't read when it says collagen. If you're not paying attention, you don't know if that's from a baby fetus of a human or a baby fetus of a cow. But the more lucrative one is the children. So the umbilical cord, the child, the parts of the child, that all equals money. So once again, we're dealing with, these are the same people that have created a new lane with the identity affirming, equal rights, deception of, hey, they have a right to feel that they're a girl if they're a boy. No, this is all from someone plotting. Just like the Disney video that we showed. You heard it for yourselves. We played the tape where the Disney creator is saying, ha, I put all this transgender stuff in the cartoons and no one can stop me. That's what her exact words were. And she was excited. I can deceive the children and no one's going to stop me because we're Disney and we're billions and no one can stop us because our money is so big. Well, I don't agree with that. I think that if we get 100,000 people that say, hey, you know what? We don't want that. Now listen, just to let you know, just to let us know, there are people already doing it. Yep. Now, if you don't know, China put restrictions on Hollywood, on America, that said all your Disney movies, all these movies that have transgender agenda, gay agenda, all these homosexual, if you don't take that out of the movies, we're not buying them from you. Guess what they did? Because money is what these people worship. They know that's a big consumer. So what did they do? They removed it out of all the films before they sent them over to China, a communist country. So a communist country said, we don't want that going into our children, and we're not going to confuse our children. And we're going to let them know that our children know they're a boy and they're a girl. So we're not going to do anything to disrupt that. We know that that's sick, so we're going to ban it. And America, if you don't take it out, we're not going to buy it from you. So America bowed down immediately because we want that money and said, no problem, we'll take it out. But guess what? America hasn't demanded it, so why would they do it? America's saying, you know what, we'll just let you shove that down our throat and we'll just, yeah, she's right. There's nothing we can do. That's what we've done so far. So if we can get 100,000 people, there's over 355 million people in America. So if we can get 100,000, that's like 0.0000001%. If we can get that amount of people to say, hey, you know what, we're no longer accepting this, right?
Right.
So if somebody stands, if people stand, then change has to happen. Yeah. But if we don't say anything, if we don't do anything, and we just continue to allow they're just going to get worse and worse and worse. We're already at the point to where we've showed videos on this channel where There are families where the government, the state came in and took their children out of their homes because they were Christians and because they were using the Bible to teach their children. They said that those was negative homes. Now look, now think about it. I personally know and have witnessed situations where there's drugs, there's physical abuse, there's verbal abuse, and it takes some years to get to help the children. Sometimes it never happens. Where there's evidence presented, hey, this parent is doing drugs in front of the child. They don't come and do anything. This child is being abused sexually. This child is being abused physically, and nothing happens. Right. But yet they're Johnny on the spot on parents that use the Bible to let their children know you're a boy and you're a girl, and they say, yeah, that's a negative. That's a very what was the term they used? They said it was a very abusive, like the Bible's abusive way of teaching your children. Yeah. And they took the child from the parents. Yeah. This happened in 2 or 3 states already. So if we can't see that we're backwards and we got a real problem, then, it's time to wake up and smell the coffee, as the old saying would be. Wake up and smell the coffee that's brewing. And the black coffee that's being brewed is by evil, black-hearted people that they don't care about our families. They don't care about the work that we're doing it's enough work just to keep our children out of trouble, keep them safe, keep them out of harm's way, keep them from being influenced by all kind of craziness. That's a job in itself. Go to work, feed them, provide for them. Now we got to worry about them being taken, and we're doing the right thing. Yeah, this is where communism comes into play. Yeah. This is where dictatorships.
Now you got to worry about them.
So we got a video. We don't have a lot of videos, but we got a video of a mother that's she pursued a lawsuit, and actually the federal court threw it out, right? And so this is on the opposite side of what happened last week. But we're gonna play her story of what happened. Is her daughter went to school, and the school is providing masculine body shaping, changing things to the student, and the mother found out by just going through her room, right? So let's go ahead and roll the tape so we can see, what's going on and give more information.
I don't want to lose my daughter to the state. Even as she grows into an adult, I'll always be her mom. This wedge driving that has occurred makes me feel scared that I'm going to lose my child. My name is Amber Levine. I live in Newcastle, Maine, and I'm a mom of 3. Being a mom is definitely the most important role I've ever played. I was in my early 20s when my daughter was born, and it changed me immediately. And in those couple of years, she was my little sidekick. She went everywhere with me. She did everything with me. And yeah, we've always been really close. She came to me before this all began to talk to me about some anxiety she was experiencing. She's just always been able to come to me and talk to me about things. At the end of her 7th grade year, she began talking with a school social worker, but they did transfer her to this other social worker who I never met, and he never reached out to me to tell me that he was going to be working with my kiddo. And everything about it felt like the goal was to remove me from any sort of conversation surrounding my daughter's mental health. One day, family affair, we were cleaning my daughter's bedroom, and we discovered a breast binder in her bedroom. And so I had a conversation with her and asked her where it came from. She finally came out and told me that the school had given it to her, and more precisely, the school social worker. This is a breast binder. This is one of the binders that was given to my daughter. And as you can see right here, there's like an added layer of like compression where your breasts are to compress them to make you appear more masculine. It hurt as a mom to know that she was keeping a secret, but I think it hurt even more to know that adults were encouraging her to keep these secrets. It really makes you wonder what other things are occurring in your schools. It really makes you question everything. I met with the principal and the superintendent. They met with the social worker on Tuesday, and then I met with them again on Wednesday with the superintendent, and they just decided that the social worker did nothing wrong and that they weren't going to investigate the situation. This situation really is about my parental rights being violated, about a social worker who had never even had a conversation with me, encouraging my child to keep secrets from me, to tell her, you know, look, I'm not going to tell your mom, and you don't have to either. So she's bringing these breast binders home and hiding them in her room on me. That's distressing. At 13, keeping secrets from your parents is a stressful situation. I went to a school board meeting and I spoke up about this issue. The only response I got was thank you for your comment. I have 3 kids who need an education, and I would love to be able to send them to a public school, and in the current environment I'm not comfortable with that. And so I feel like, unfortunately, it's going to take legal action from parents like myself to really make change happen. The Goldwater Institute jumped on board with this because they know it's important, because parental rights are incredibly important, and they've been beyond supportive. There's no way I would have continued to pursue a lawsuit if it wasn't for the Goldwater Institute. My daughter, I pulled my daughter out of school, and I'm homeschooling her currently. She's in 8th grade, and so I don't know what high school is going to look like for her. Our goal as parents is to raise amazing human beings who contribute to society, who care about other human beings. That's our goal as a mom, a dad. We want to raise happy, healthy people, and to be left out of such a life-altering decision it just doesn't even make sense as a mom. I don't want to lose my daughter.
So these things are disturbing because
Same woman.
the key things that we continue to point out and continue to show videos and continue to show real life stories of more and more evidence that, see, when people don't understand something is one thing, and what's being exposed is the specific target on getting children to lie and hide things from their parents. And as I continue to say, our children, we're the ones that our children are supposed to be able to come to with anything.
Yep.
And then when you have children that are that way, and then you have an adult from the outside who is a wolf in sheep's clothing. These people, just because they have degrees, doesn't mean they're not a wolf. We have too much faith in professional degrees and professionalism, and not looking at the background of the professionalism. It's not just being about being professional. What is your profession? Well, these people, their profession is to manipulate and target children. That's what they got degrees in. Now, as we grew up in society, you may have believed it was something else. You may have believed that. Now, I believe there are some therapists out there to help people. I'm not saying they're all, but the majority of them, their objective is to get you to pay them and to give you medication to get paid, and then charge you for your sorrow, charge you for your grief, charge you for the chaos, charge you as a representative help. But in reality, is suicides are increasing, even with therapists involved. And as you heard the mother say, they switched therapists. Did you notice that?
Yep.
They switched a counselor. And guess what? Why did they switch them? They switched them with specific intent. The school did. So they have a knowledge of what these people are and what they're doing, and they already have been, not starting to, let me retract that. They've already been infiltrating public schools on every level, from kindergarten to high school, and merging. There's a merging taking place between the professionals of the psychedelic, if you can say that, or the psychological, mental side of things. They're merging with the education system at a younger and younger age and implementing laws of protection from them against the parents. This is a strategic. We already played videos where the decision makers of education curriculum have been caught on camera saying we are working on new curriculum more on how to keep the parents ignorant and unaware and uninformed. And if they do get informed, forcing them to where they can't even pull the child out of the class. That is a strategic, time-consuming, evil, attention-giving. Think about how much time and effort that takes to create ways to exclude parents and grandparents. They already made one wave through the grandparents is taking everything paper-based out. So everything is now computer-based and technical, and they know majority of the grandparents are not tech savvy. Now you do have some that are, right? I met a lady last week at a travel agency, and she's 91 years old, and she's working every day. It was shocking, but she looked like she was in her 70s, but she was 91. So, but she was on the computer. She knew how to do everything on the computer. But that's an exception to the rule. Most grandparents are not on computers. They barely can work their smartphones. They know how to call people and maybe text a little bit. That's majority. But my mother, I know she looked for things that come in the mail, things that come from the school. She would always check if there's anything sent from the teacher, progress reports, all kind of things. They would come in our backpacks, report cards. It would get sent home. And mom was checking your folder, what your homework looked like. And all that stuff was always written down. This is your homework assignment for Monday, Tuesday. It's all written down. This is a progress report. Hey, even yellow slips. Gabriel wasn't being such a good boy today. Here's what he did. My mother's always looking for those things. So now with her grandchildren, now they're not even sending it. So if you have grandparents that are used to, you have some grandparents that are raising their grandchildren, and they've stepped in. There's a lot of those situations. So one of their targets is remove the written verbiage for the grandparents. That was an actual tactic.
Yeah.
And they admitted it, and we caught them on film. So there's no hiding, there's no reversing, there's no, oh no, that was a misstatement. No, they admitted it. And other ways of if they did find out what was going on in the class, you can't even withdraw your child from the class. You can't even drop the class. So, when the mother is talking and she's saying the hurtful thing, you can tell that I don't believe her and her daughter had secrets. So then it hurt her to find out that her daughter's keeping secrets, but then the deeper hurt was that you heard her say, word for word, adults were teaching her and coercing her and letting her know it's okay to lie to your mother. It's okay to lie to your parents. So when you have children that look at adults that are professionals, that are supposed to be helping them in education and gaining in life, and they're telling you don't have to tell your parents. See, that's the complete opposite of how when I was in school. Yep. When there was an issue, we're going to tell your parents. We have to have a parent-teacher conference. Your parents need to know if you did something at school, guess what? 10 out of 10, your parents were going to find out. And we were trying to find ways not to let our parents find out.
Real life.
So can you imagine, you're at that age and they're telling you, don't worry. We know you smoked you did some drugs or you had a sexual act in the bathroom. We're not going to tell your parents. That's what they're doing now.
Yeah, come to our therapy.
Yeah, don't worry. Come talk to the therapist. We'll give you some medication, and you don't even have to tell your parents anything that happened. That is the reality of American school education system right now. Public school education system. That is the reality. So you heard the mother say she pulled her child out of school and she doesn't really know what to do. There's thousands and thousands of these situations. That's why we want to build schools, charter, Christian academies, private schools, that to where the state cannot dictate to what happens with our children. And that the number one policy is the parents will be heavily 100% involved and notified of all things having to deal with their children, just like it used to be, right?
Yep.
So we're working on it. Do we have the scripture?
Yeah.
The Proverbs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so every week we want to add scriptures that these scriptures were written thousands of years ago. But what we're seeing is every single week there's relevance there's always answers, right? But most of the people don't have answers because the answers are in the Bible. And the woman last week proved that. She proved that through the scriptures and her practicing those. And she said it was hard, but she said God came through. God helped us. And so the scriptures bring to light and life of everything that we deal with now. And so there's a root to these things, and the root can be found here in the Word of God of what is going on, what's taking place, and how to deal with it. So if you can put that back up. Okay, in Proverbs 1, it says, truths obscurely expressed, maxims and parables of Solomon of David, King of Israel, right, that people may know skillful and godly wisdom and instruction, right? So this also goes into the video of the little boy that was shot by the police. Mm-hmm. See, he had the skillful knowledge and wisdom, godly wisdom, put in him young. So in the most catastrophic moment of his life, getting penetrated with a bullet, right, at 10 years old, he didn't panic, he didn't die, he didn't act crazy. He started singing and worshiping because that's what was inside of him. This wisdom, this skillful godly wisdom and instruction. He knew God is with me. And he said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. He quoted scriptures as he had blood coming out of his body at 10 years old. You cannot make these things up. And it proves another testimony of how this is real. It says, discern and comprehend the words of understanding and insight. Receive instruction in wise dealing and the discipline of wise thoughtfulness. See, that's the opposite of what is taking place. Mm-hmm. This is not wisdom. This is man deception. Yep. This is evil doings, evil doers, wicked dwellers, plots of the wicked. So when you read in the scriptures, it's always talking about the wise and the righteous and the wicked and the evil. Yep. So anybody, I don't care what the reason, what your explanation, anybody that is willing to manipulate children, is willing to cut up children, I don't care how many PhDs you have, you are a wicked and you are worthless of walking this earth. And you don't deserve breath. Now, that may be extreme, but I'm very passionate about children and protecting the innocent. That's what I'm about. So anybody, I don't care what your status is in life, how much money you got, how many planes you got, all that is irrelevant. When you have no problem harming children and making a gain from it, you don't deserve to be here. And so the Bible talks about that, right? So when we receive instruction in wise dealing and discipline of wise thoughtfulness, righteousness, justice. Our Governor Newsom has no righteousness, has no justice, has no integrity, but claims that he loves God. And he's got people believing that. Now, anyone with any common sense knows that he has no godliness in him, because there's no way you can pass these laws in California to where children don't have to have a right. No, parents don't have a right to protect or make decisions on their minor children's lives, and children can go get chopped up, and you allow insurance agencies and insurance companies to pay for that, and doctors willing to do it. All those doctors should be locked up. Like Candace Owens said, the man the doctor that butchered the young man, and to where he said that it felt like he had knives inside of him. He said, oh, just add some more lube. That man should be locked up.
Yeah. Yep.
The doctor that did what they did to Chloe, they should be locked up. These people should be in prison.
Yep.
We're putting people in prison for much less minor crimes.
Yep.
But these people, because they have a degree, it's legal. And our governor says, you're blessed. I bless you to do this to these children. It says that prudence may be given to the simple, and knowledge, discretion, and discernment to the youth, right? So these are the things that have to be taught to the young, not teaching them you're really a girl, but you're a boy. So God made a mistake, and your parents made a mistake, and everyone, even your birth certificate made a mistake. Everyone made a mistake. But I'm telling you the truth. You're really a girl. Yeah. When that's being taught to our children, that's how you end up with suicides. That's how you end up with depression. That's how you end up on these medications that increase those feelings.
Yep.
It increases whatever you're dealing with. The medication the doctor gives you, it increases it. It doesn't take it away. And if it numbs it for a temporary situation. But you cannot deal with issues of the inside of the soul with medication or with talking. You need truth. You need life. And that's what the scriptures give. It says the wise also will hear and increase in learning. See, we should these videos, this channel is to help increase in learning. Not learning to get a degree, learning of what's really going on in our world, what's going on in our city, what's going on in our school district, what's going on Capitol Hill that's making these laws. That's the learning that is being given here. And the person of understanding will acquire skill and attain to sound counsel. So these parents, the little boy that got shot that was bleeding, guess what? It was the knowledge and understanding of God that was put in him. So then when the worst horrific thing happened to him, that's what he leaned on. And that's why he's still alive. Even the newscaster tried to say, the doctor saved your life. He said, no, he didn't. He said, God saved my life. Where did that come from? Because that's the knowledge that was put inside of him. That's the understanding he had at 10 years old. No weapon, even if it's a natural gun with a bullet, if it's formed against me, it cannot prosper. So he's singing scripture. He's singing the understanding. He's singing the knowledge that he's attained while he's bleeding.
Yep.
That shows the power of what if you teach the children the right thing. That's what the scripture is saying. When you teach the youth to have discernment, to have knowledge of God, it doesn't matter what any other adult says. If any adult comes with the contrary of that, that's why what happened with Chloe. And I don't mean to, I'm not bashing her parents, but when her parents, they didn't know what to do. So who did they turn to? They didn't turn to the scriptures. They turned to a psychologist. And therefore, the psychologist, the evildoer, the one that the chaser of money, who cared nothing about their child, told them, you have two choices, a dead daughter or a happy son.
Yes.
That's it. So when you lean on these professionals for understanding and for hope and help, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a financial answer disguised as help. A financial gain for them, not you. You're going to obtain a financial burden. If you don't have insurance coverage, you're going to have to pay for those sessions. You're going to have to pay for that medication that they prescribe. It all equals money to them. Okay. So it says, understanding will acquire skill and attain to sound counsel, so that he may be able to steer his course rightly. This is talking about the young. It's talking about the youth. It's talking about what we're supposed to give them, what we're supposed to teach them. All adults that have children or have a job having to do with children, it is your responsibility to teach them wisdom, to teach them justice, to teach them truth. That's what the young lady said last week. She said, she had a choice. She said, so you're telling me the school district, she said, so you're telling me I have to lie to the parents? They told her yes. And then she said, and I have to teach them to lie to their parents? They said yes. And she said, I cannot do that. They said, clean out your locker. You're fired. That's what it boiled down to. So every adult that has a job with children, God is watching you, and you have to make these decisions. Now, there's a lot of teachers, and she said this. She said, it's like to work there, I would have to leave all the righteousness, all the justice inside of me, my beliefs, I have to leave all that outside the school yard, the school gates, and then do what they say, lie to parents, lie to children, deceive children. And think about it. The little girl from this last video, she got that. How did they justify giving this child apparel to make them look manly? How is that oh, guess what? That had to be paid for, right? How many more girls are they doing that to? Oh, we didn't know. We're paying for that. Yeah, our tax money is paying them to buy apparel, to change their identity, and lie to us. We're paying for it. No, that's why we must have this week, September 30th through October 4th. So the second phase of that week, the second phase is to stay at home. Go ahead and put it up again. It's to stay home, students inaugural in support of parents' rights. You heard what the mother said. She said, it feels like, and it's not a feeling, it's a reality. It feels like my parental rights are being taken and ignored. That's not a feeling. That's exactly what they're doing. So the two aspects of this week is the daily rate that is paid for our children going to school. And then on the I believe it's the 2nd October, they're doing a statewide census.
Yeah, the annual.
Their annual census on all the total children. So guess what? The schools are going to be pushing for how much you want to bet there's going to be verbiage putting out about how important the 2nd of October is for your child to be in school. Guaranteed there's going to be newsletters. There's going to be all kind of information. Make sure on this date your child's in school. Well, we're saying make sure on that date your child's not in school. You know why? Because they're taking a statewide census on how much money they're going to give those districts the following school year. Well, we hit them with a double whammy. If we get 100,000 children to stay out the whole week, that's 50 million. And then who knows how much we'll cut if on the second they have 100,000 empty seats. We don't know how much budget cut that's going to be. That's even more than 50 million. Yep. So we have a goal. And the goal is money is the only thing these people pay attention to. They don't pay attention to your heart. They don't pay attention to your rights as the person that birthed the children. They don't pay attention to you saying, I'm concerned and I'm not in agreement. They don't pay attention to any of that. The only thing that moves them is money. Yeah. And so that's why we're doing this. Because money is what's going to be taken out of their pockets. And this is much beyond standing outside the schools with signs saying we don't want. That doesn't mean anything. They just wait for that to go off and then they continue doing with it. They just endure it. And that video when she said that she went and said, "Oh, thank you for your comments," we experienced that for 5 years. Yeah. We had parent after parent after parent after parent coming up, having their speech. They're told, first of all, as soon as your 3 minutes is up, you just hear this, and it's a loud buzzer saying, you're done, and we don't want to hear your mouth no more. You're out. Yeah, go to the next parent. And then they can't wait to push that button again. They're just doing their due diligence of they have to sit there and listen to you. But it means nothing. But guess what? I guarantee you $5 million doesn't go to that school board. Guess what that also means? That also means that that's some of their paychecks. Oh, yeah, the school board's paychecks. The superintendent for Oceanside makes $369,000 a year. So guess what? If we can get $5 million cut from the school district, her salary next year won't be $369. I promise you that. That's what it's about. Then she has to go, oh, wow, these people figured it out. We have to change up. They don't want us to teach this to the kids. Oh my God, they may do this for 2 weeks next time. Yeah. Now we're talking about some change. That's what this was all about, creating change. Yep. I'm tired of the talking. I'm tired of pleading and asking for you to be decent human beings. Act like it's your children. And the funny thing about it is most of them, they have their children in private schools. Yeah. So most of them that are doing this, their children are in private schools. Yeah. So their children are even. So the title of hypocrite is maximized when it deals with these people. Governor Newsom took his children to Montana, while our children had to go, wear a mask every day and then had to do online learning and all this different thing. His children were sitting in class being taught the old-fashioned way in a different state. So it's fine and dandy as long as it's our children, but their children are protected and they're excluded from these communist laws and oppressive dealings and mandates. So anyways, thank you for joining and attending to another episode of The Truth Unspoken. And I pray that people are getting fired up. I pray that this is creating momentum. I pray that, please share the link. Please donate. We're not here trying to raise money to do anything but make schools. Right. That's what we're trying to create real money for. And that's real. We're trying to get land to build schools. Yep. And in those schools, your children are priority and your rights are honored. Yep. That's rule number 1. We will not do anything without the parents' consent. That alone, I would think that should get all kind of parental support. Yep. So I just pray we're just going to keep on sending out the information, exposing these frauds. Oh, and we have to the next line of liars that we have to expose is the private schools that are charging you thousands of dollars, $10,000, $20,000 for a semester or for a school year, and they're teaching the same public curriculum. Yeah, we're going to expose you next. So not all private schools are right and doing what's righteous. There's private schools that are teaching the same curriculum as the public schools, but they're charging you money, making you believe they're not. So anyways, please share the link. Please hit the like button, thumbs up. Please get the information out. Please coordinate with one another on what your plans of execution is going to be during this week of keeping our children home. And, you know, there's thousands and thousands of parents that are pulling their kids out of school every day, and they need somewhere. And homeschooling that's hard, especially if you're working parents. That's why we need to build charter schools. Like I continue to say, in our region, in our counties, 2 counties, the private and charter schools are between 500 and 2,000 waiting lists. So it's a supply and demand. We open up schools, we have automatic enrollment. So we thank you for being with us. We thank you for those that have supported and those that are sharing the link and sharing the information. Continue to do so, please. And God bless everyone. And we'll see you next week on another week and another episode of The Truth Unspoken.